Okay, how to avoid injury. Now, to avoid injury, we need to know it's impossible to 100% avoid, but what we can do is reduce the risk massively in running. When you're doing a repetitive sport like running, and you're constantly using the same muscles, same ligaments, same joints, same tendons, there's going to be repetitive strain injuries unless you do the right things. And the right things are the simple things, but they must be done right. So what we need to look out for is where am I most likely to get injured? And the way that you're most likely to get injured is too much running too quickly. That's number one. So too much overall volume too quickly. So you're running too often, you're running too much, or a combination of the both. The second way is running too many hills too quickly. So the gradient is going to put more stress on everything from your Achilles to the big power muscles, the hamstring and the glutes. And putting too much stress on those too quickly is going to end up in injury. Next one is very closely related. It's too much speed too quickly. And again, too much stress on the big power muscles, the glutes, the hamstring, all the way down to the Achilles, but then also the quads as well. And that too much speed too quickly, again, similar to the hills, is just going to put too much stress on things, and it needs to happen gradually. Next one is a change of terrain. And so going from the road to trail, going from a smooth trail to a technical trail. And obviously the more technical the trail and the more sort of that you have to kind of move, the leg is going to move in a different way. The ankle and knee need to be much more stable. And you need to build stability muscles around, and they're tiny little muscles, but they all need kind of building gradually over time. The last way is, it's a funny one because it's not running enough. And you'll hear some people say that quite often. But what they mean by that is, you've got the key sessions, the interval session midweek. I do it on a Wednesday. You've got the weekend long run. And therefore I'm building my speed endurance, and I'm building my stamina, I'm building my endurance. Without the sessions in between, which are the easy runs and the recovery runs, without my body kind of getting back to kind of recovering properly from a long run, recovering properly from an interval session, and then being able to go again for that next key session, I'm not able to hit those sessions properly, and I'm not able to get the super compensation. But I'll always know that those are the key sessions where I get the most improvement. So I'll always want to do those, no matter if they're the hardest sessions or not, which they are. I always want to do those because I always want to improve the most. But if I don't do the easy running and the recovery runs, sooner or later your body is going to break down. If you think about it, like if you just did the midweek interval session and you did that speed, which might be 6 kilometers, it might be 18 kilometers total hard volume, but it's a session that takes the most out of me. So Thursday is always a rest day for me, and then Friday is a recovery run, Saturday is an easy run, Sunday is a long run. Sunday might be a long run from 20K to 50K, and it might be a super easy long run, or there might be a portion of that that's dedicated to marathon pace or ultra marathon pace or marathon pace minus 10% or plus 10, something like that. So it will be related to race pace, a segment of that. If I just did those sessions, but I didn't do everything else, all of a sudden, Sunday and Wednesday's key sessions would become a massive shock to the system, and I would get injured sooner or later. And it would only probably take 2 to 3 weeks of me just hitting the Wednesday and the Sunday long run and the Wednesday interval session. So not enough running in terms of not looking after your body in the recovery runs and the easy runs is a surefire way to get injured too. So if we look at the way if we kind of re-engineer that, those are the 5 key ways of getting injured. If we look how we can stay away from injury as much as possible, then if you're going to run hills, if you're going to insert speed into your training, if you're going to insert a different terrain, they have to be gradual. The total volume has to be gradual. So if you're currently at 40 kilometers a week, and all of a sudden your training program says that you need to be running 60, that's still not a great deal of running if you're training for a marathon or if you're training for an ultra marathon, but it's a 50% jump from where you are at the moment. So don't think what you're running in the future, 4, 5, 6 months in the future. You got to think about where your body is up to now. If you've not run hills, if you're a great hill runner, but you've not run hills for 6 months, you need to start with baby steps. And being able to start with baby steps and having that discipline will enable you to gradually insert something simple. So if I've not specifically trained for a hill race or not done hills for quite a while, and that might just be 4, 5, 6 weeks, then I will start with something very, very simple. It might be 20 times 200 meters or 10 times 400 meters or 5 or 6%. So an easy gradient and just an easy session, which even that easy, even 10 times 400 meters at 5%, if I've not done hill training for specific uphill training for 4, 5, 6 weeks, that will be a shock to the system. That will be like, whoa, I can feel it in my Achilles, I can feel it in my calves, I can feel that relationship between fast feet and the glutes. I can feel that I need my glutes really, really a lot. I need them a lot in order to push myself up this hill. So it'll be a shock to the system, and it'll be a wake-up call to say, right, okay, you've got to remember, you need to keep doing this on a weekly basis in order for you to be a good hill runner. Exactly the same with speed. If you've not done it for 6 weeks, if you've not done it for 6 months, you've got to start as if you're brand new to it. And you've got to insert it. So it might be, again, it might be on the track, it might be 12 times 200 meters, or 10 times 300 meters, or 10 times 400 meters, something really that allows you to, and what you get on top of this is not just gradually getting into it again, getting into the speed, which will help in all your running, but it will make it enjoyable for you. If you take a small session like that, 10 times 400 meters, it's 4 kilometers. The whole session is probably done for you in 20 to 30 minutes, plus 5 minutes to 10 minutes warming up and cooling down. If you just do that, then it's going to be so much more enjoyable, because it will be like, that was tough, and it was only 4 kilometers of hard work. But next week you'll be able to do 5 or 6, or next week you'll be able to kind of jump forward a little bit if you've done a speed session within the last 3 months. So it's not too long away. It'll come back to you much faster if you've been doing it recently. If you're brand new to running and you're trying to insert more volume, which of course you are if you're just starting running and you're running quite frequently, and then you're inserting the speed work, and then you're inserting the long run, you've got to kind of do all of those gradually. And that takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of discipline. And that's a major part of distance running. So as unsexy as it is, those recovery runs and easy runs and that total volume, and gradually getting to that total volume, the consistency and the discipline are the major factors of being a good runner. Yeah, it's going to take you being super stubborn. It's going to take your resilience and tenacity, but you can only have that once you've got the consistency and the discipline in place. So those are the quickest ways. The bonus that I'd give you is, and this happens definitely when you get older, because you'll realize you can't just kind of get out of the car at the track and start running 400 meter reps. You need to your body needs some time to wake up, to get ready, and to realize what it's about to do. But what I will say to you is, if you can just spend extra time in your warm-up, the amount of runners that I speak to that don't do any warm-up before most runs, they'll just get up and they'll just kind of walk out of the house and then they'll start running. And that can be a super slow, but you're literally going from laying or standing or sitting, even worse, to motion, where you need your hip flexors, tiny little ligaments or tendons like that if they break 3-4 weeks, and you might still be struggling with them, yeah? And it's exactly the same for the muscles. The muscles need warming up. So if you just put into your training, and again, it's a habit that you need to form. If you're not used to doing a warm-up and a cool down, if you just say, okay, I'm just going to warm up for 5 minutes, I'm just going to cool down for 5 minutes, it's only 10 minutes. But the reduction in injury and the reduction in injury risk is so worth it for you. It's so worth it just to say, okay, I'm going to warm up for 5 minutes. And that may be 2 or 3 minutes just walking. A couple of calf raises, a few calf raises, 10 calf raises, gradually running as super slow as you possibly can, but keeping everything aligned. So toe, ankle, knee, hip is all aligned. Arms are starting to work. Open the chest, and then get into something. And you'll realize that you'll need to warm up more if you're going to go fast. So if you're going to have that midweek interval session, your warm up will have to be longer. Mine's about 12 minutes. And the reason I've got it to about 12 minutes is I know that sometimes in a marathon, if there's a heavy start line, a lot of people don't get the amount of time that I need to warm up properly before. So what can I do in 7 to 12 minutes? So if you just give yourself 5 minutes, and if that's coming from no warm up at all, you'll not only realize that you'll get injured less, but you'll also get more out of the session. If you can get to the big sessions, the interval session and the long run, and you're already warmed up, and you're warmed up for the interval session, for example, to a rate that you can hit that first and second rep at the pace and the effort that you want to run the next 10 or the next 12, you're laughing, because you're not giving yourself anything for free. You're working for everything and you're hitting everything top level, which means, and there's only so many of those key sessions, interval session, long run, that you can do in a training schedule leading up to your key race. You'll realize that you want to get as much out of those sessions as possible, as much super compensation, as much improvement as you possibly can, to put yourself on the start line and hit your potential. So important. If you're training for something right now and anything out of that helps you, or you disagree, or you want to add something in, please drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you.